Great. Well, wonderful to be here. Now stand up. I want you all to stand up. I know we're having a calm day, but we need energy as well. And I want you to give yourself a big clap. Okay. Now you can sit down. So we've just had some really scary statistics, but we don't need to be part of those statistics. If we're resilient, we are not part of those statistics, and we have a choice, okay? So I'm going to have got 15 minutes now. I've got 14 minutes and 43 seconds left to speak, and I'd just like to say thank you so much to Jane for inviting me. It's so exciting to be here. It's so exciting to be back in the room, to see old friends that we've known for a while and to meet new ones, so it's really exciting. So I've had a bit of experience of resilience, 25 years in the army, in all sorts of dodgy places, and this feels like a deployment, may I say. The peaks and the troughs of what we're going through has just been so light, no matter what the enemy is, and obviously there's awful stuff going on right now, but we've had the enemy of COVID. We never know when it's going to hit, we never know how we're going to react, but we can be in control. So, what is resilience? Resilience is an ability, most people call it about bouncing back, as well as to adapt in the circumstances we're in. Now, I actually talk about bouncing forward. So how many of you feel you're a different person now than you were 2 years ago? Yes, but actually you're not a different person. You're actually the same person, clearly, but you've learned loads of skills to make you what you can perceive as a different person, but all you're doing is actually being the person you were before, but more empowered, more confident, more inspiring. So the great thing about resilience is it does vary according to time, people and circumstance. So just if you don't feel resilient right now, that doesn't mean you're not resilient. It's what we're thinking in our heads. And if you haven't been resilient in one time, we can learn from that experience. So it's all learning, and that's what I'm going to come on to. So the other thing that's great about resilience is we have this process, we've all been through it, of resistance, recovery and reconfiguration. So what do I mean by that? To start with, we resist it. No, it can't be happening. 23rd of March 2020, we're in lockdown. This can't be happening. I feel I'm in a movie. How many felt like that? We're in the middle of some big movie. It's not reality. But it will be over in a couple of weeks, be over by Easter, and we'll be all back to normal. Here we are, 2 years on, and we're here, which is amazing. And think how grateful we are to be here right now, whereas before it would just be normal jogging going on. So we have that moment where we just don't believe it's happening. And we resist it. We don't want to believe it's happening. And then we start accepting it. And then we go through a process of reconfiguration. And then we have the acceptance of, okay, what have I learned from this? Where am I going? And what am I taking this forward? So in the short time we've got together, I want to talk about what I call about the triangle of transformation. Because we can spend hours reading books. We haven't got time for that, although it's very good to do a bit of reading. But we need stuff that we can put in place straight away. So here we are, 3 points. The first point is our posture. The second point is our language. And the third point is what we're focusing on. So look what your body's doing right now. Okay? And it's funny when you say that, suddenly everybody starts sitting up. And we talked, Amanda was talking about, hunched over a laptop. Strange thing this, our brain is connected to our body. It has a bit of a neck in between, but it's all connected, okay? So what happens is, if our body is like this, or if it's like this, like Superman or Superwoman, our brain connects that. And it has a physiological effect on our stress hormones and our feel-good hormones, our serotonin, and lots of nodding heads, Amanda, thank you, I've got it right. Serotonin and our cortisol. So we can fool our body that we feel confident, and confidence is so related to resilience. So notice what your body's doing, because if you're having one of those moments and feeling a bit of doubt and insecurity, I guarantee you'll be all scrunched up. So open your body up. And if you're having those, a tricky meeting, and a meeting's only tricky if we make the story, it's going to be tricky. That's another little whole conversation. But see what you're doing. So if you're at home and you're working at home and you've got a meeting that you're a bit nervous about, and nervous is another thought. It actually may change it to excitement, because that makes a big difference as well. Stand up. Now, if you haven't got a standing desk, you can put your laptop on a box, because the very fact you're standing opens you up, gives you grounded, and can make you feel much more confident. So notice what you're doing. So if you see somebody walking on the street, you can tell whether they're having a great day or a bad day. They look like the whole world's on their shoulders, or they're striving along really confidently. You think, yes, they're confident. So it's very related to confidence. So what are you focusing on? That's the next thing. Are you focusing on success, this is going to work, or are you focused on it'll never be? Now, I had a real test this week because my husband's got COVID and he tested positive last Thursday. Now, I made the assumption at the moment he got tested, I wouldn't able to be here, because I thought it was guaranteed that I would actually get COVID too. However, luckily I'm in this world. I thought, what am I doing here? This is not focusing on what I want. I want to be here. So I've done everything. I mean, my poor husband, he's been completely isolated from me. Nothing to do with me, except I am a nurse, so I do sort of pop in every so often, check he's okay. So I'm managing the nursey bit with the masks and the stuff. Cold water swimming, great for immunity. I did that this morning. Do whatever I do to be in control in order to make sure that you get the outcome you want. And that's why I'm so excited to be here, apart from being here anyway, but just to be here. So we are in control of what we focus on. So what are you focusing on? Because you can switch it. I always talk about like a light switch. Are you focusing on something that disempowers you, or are you focusing on something that empowers you? Because the outcome, our thoughts create our feelings, which create our actions, which create our results. You could decide you're going for a job and you think, yes, that's your job for me. I know I've got to get this job. That is the job I want to do. So you take all the action required. You do your research. You might, if you can, go to the building before to feel the energy of the room. You find about the team that are going to interview you. You make your CV top notch, and you show up powerfully and in control, and I'm the woman for you. Or you think, what's the point? That's way above my pay scale. I haven't got the skills. No point bothering. You turn up for the interview. You're completely disempowered. You think you can't wait to get out of the room fast enough because it's just the most horrible experience and they're all evil and they're all out to get me. And you don't get the job. So it's the power of what you're focusing on. And the third thing is the language we're using and the mindset we're in. Are we using disempowering language to ourselves in our heads? And we can be our biggest bully. So what are you saying to yourself? And this is where we have a choice. Every thought we have is a choice. And everything we do is a choice. Now, even choosing not to have a choice is a choice. If we choose to be vulnerable and a victim and feel the world's against us, actually, that is a choice. Well, we have to be really disciplined about the choices we make, because it's all to do with energy. And I'm passionate about energy, as you might have gathered. Because it changes our life. The universe, God, whatever you believe in, it's all there for you for the taking, but we cut ourselves off from it. And it's as simple as that. If we get ourselves in the right energy to receive, magic happens. But 90% of the time, if we don't notice it, we cut it off and we resist it. So when the biggest thing to do is notice the language we're using, empowering, disempowering, but also it's what energy we're in. Now, if we're in those bad moments, I was in that one last weekend when I thought I was going to get COVID and I became a bit of a victim for a moment. I thought, right, that's not good practice. I'm not being very authentic. So out of that victim mode. And then, so then you focus on what the possibilities. But the point of that is that we do have a choice. So make sure you make the right choices. And things like, cancelling the word try. Try is only allowed in rugby. No word, no trying, okay? If we try, we lie, because we're actually giving ourselves an exit clause, okay? We can choose the musts, the shoulds. As soon as we say should, it's heavy, it's hard work, it's, ugh. But if we say choose, we have a choice. And gratitude is more important now than ever, because when we're in the bottom of that triangle of map of what we call a map of consciousness, the resentment, the anger, the frustration, the fear, the guilt, the shame, it's like, ugh. We cannot feel those emotions if we're grateful. So this is the power of just little bits and notice, and we've noticed this so much over the last 2 years, those little things to be grateful, a cup of tea, a roof over our head, watching the news. It's really important to manage your mindset. So that's where it's really important, because once we're grateful, and notice, and even when we're feeling our worst and we're feeling those down moments, that is when being grateful is even more important. So just notice one little thing. Somebody smiled at me. And then that gets us up into that higher energy. So just the first, no one ever wakes up to be mediocre. We don't wake up to kick the cat, the school be late, the children don't put their shoes on, the milk's gone off. We don't choose any of that, do we? It happens. We have a choice how we react to anything, big things and little things. And how we react to the little things builds up to how we react to the big things. So you are in control. Yes, the statistics are terrible. Yes, 50 million people with mental health illness and stuff. Now, of course, there are serious mental health illnesses which, happen. We have a choice not to be one of those statistics. Every moment of every day is a choice. And we're all dealing with stuff. Let's the courage to be vulnerable. And courage is purely taking action when you don't know the outcome. And we have seen so much courage. And every single one of us has that courage. So to be the best version of you, this is where we surround ourselves with people inspiring. And we've got a whole room here of the most extraordinary people to inspire each other. Because I hate to tell you this, we become the 5 people we spend time with. Now, I'm not telling you to ditch your partner. But how can you, lift yourself up? Listening to a podcast, watching something funny on the telly or your YouTube clip, whatever it takes to have people around you that lift you up. Because once we're around the people we lift up, then we lift ourselves up, and we can only be the leader of ourselves. Yes, as team leaders, as entrepreneurs, we have to lead our teams. We have to lead the people, work with our clients, whoever we're working, whatever field we're in. But the only person we can lead is ourselves. And putting our own oxygen mask on first, so then we can support everyone else. So what can you do today to make sure you are the best version of you? And if it goes wrong for a moment, then make sure you notice that, because that is your gold. That is your goal, to learn from those moments so that every time you get stronger and stronger. And look back on how far you've come. We spend so much time thinking, it's not where I want to be, I don't want to be there faster, and it's not happening. That is blocking ourselves off for that magic that's there waiting for us. So take a moment of reflection. See how far you've come in the last 2 years. Because then we can feel, get that gratitude. We can get that empowerment. Wow, I never thought I would have to deal with all this, and I've done it. And that is what resilience is moments of looking back to think, wow, I dealt with so much more over the last 2 years, for example. I can deal with anything now. And I'd love to have a conversation with any of you. So love to, give you a free discovery call, because I know all of us are dealing with stuff. It's normal, it's human, but we don't have to deal with it for long. We can have a conversation, and 100%, I believe, nothing needs to be fixed. You're all whole, you're all complete, and that's the time of going off, so I've had enough time. But I just have to say this. You are all awesome, and you've got it all. So thank you for letting me hear.